Hello and welcome to Jep's Outdoor Adventures. I'm your host, Jep. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing the 45 ACP for bear protection. Now, the 45 ACP has quickly become one of my favorite handgun calibers. And it has actually really impressed me. When I first looked into the 45, on Facebook and things, people would talk about it and, people made it out to be either the best handgun caliber in existence or they made it out to be a slow bumblebee, where if somebody shot at you, you could step aside and watch it go by. And obviously neither one is correct. They're exaggerations, but still, I heard such varying things about it that I was not sure what to make of it myself. I tended to believe it was more of a slow bumblebee than anything, but actually testing the ammunition really changed my mind. The 45 has quickly become one of my favorite calibers, like I said. Now, the firearm that we were using to test all the ammunition that we're going to be going over here was a Rock Island Armory A1FS, standard 5-inch barrel. It's basically your base model 1911. Nothing was changed. And that firearm itself has really grown on me. First 1911 I ever really handled, let alone shot, and I really like it. So there's certainly a lot of things to appreciate about the 45. Today we are going to be going over cases in which a 45 was used to put down a bear, and we're going to be going over the testing results that we gathered from our different jugs tests. So this is just going to be an overview of that testing. If you want to see the full videos, I will have the links at the end of the video and in the description, and that way you can watch them all the way through. I did put a lot of effort into them, especially the buffalo boar on up. Some of these more recent videos, I've been putting a lot of effort into them, so if you want to watch them, I would greatly appreciate that. But if you don't have time, that's fine. That's why we're doing this. So caliber discussions are always fun to make, but I'm really happy because now I have even more evidence than usual to provide you. Typically we go off of how many times of 9mm, for example, was used. And those videos always do well. Actually, a lot of these videos I've been making have over 30,000 views. So that's really nice. And I've been able to help a lot of people, and hopefully this will be no different. Now, the 45 ACP is not going to be recommended by me for anything over 800 pounds. If you're carrying a handgun in an area where there's game over 800 pounds, it's probably best if it's a little bit more on the powerful side. 44 Magnum, 480 Ruger kind of stuff. Certainly calibers like that are going to be a lot better for big game. They're going to travel through more flesh, more bone. They're going to have a harder time stopping. They're going to hit the target harder. You're just going to get much more firepower out of a larger caliber. But no handgun is a replacement for a good rifle or a good slug gun. And I want to make this point because I see a lot of guys in the comments who don't really watch these videos all the way through. They'll assume a whole bunch of different things. So I just want to make sure I'm redundant. The 45 is a good caliber for anything 800 pounds or less because it's going to have plenty of firepower. It's going to have plenty of penetration. It's just a pretty good caliber, as you'll see. However, the moment you start getting into really big game, you're going to find that although these handguns are going to have a lot of power and are certainly going to look great on a piece of paper, a rifle will always beat them in terms of firepower, in terms of penetration for the different rounds, especially when they're loaded up with good hardcasts, especially from a company like Buffalo Boar. You're going to find that they're easier to shoot, even though they're more powerful. You're going to find that they are just overall a better option. A good 444 Marlin, 450 Marlin, 4570 plus P, all these different calibers are going to perform better than even a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Because a 500, although it has a lot of power, it's really not any better than a 450 Bushmaster. But once you get a good long barrel from a 450 Bushmaster and you compare it to your short barrel 500, you're going to find out there's a big difference in power. Just like there would be if the 450 has a short barrel and the 500 has a long barrel. The handgun is really there as your backup. If your rifle gets put up against a tree, you walk away to go use the bathroom maybe, and then you run across a bear, whatever you want to come up with, that's when the handgun really comes in handy. or if you run out of ammo or your rifle jams, then you switch over to your handgun, right? So I never recommend just carrying a handgun unless you're backpacking, unless you're trying to just do some fishing. You don't have a lot of weight you can really carry, or you're just not a big, strong person. You can't carry a lot of weight, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. In those cases, obviously, then typically it is best if you just carry a handgun because that's what's easy to carry. And if that's what's easiest and most comfortable for you, then do it. I don't want you to carry something you aren't comfortable with. So anyway, let's get right into it because that's enough yammering for right now. So there were multiple cases where a .45 was used in bear protection, but there was one case I wanted to mention here. It was reported on by Outdoor Life just last year, 2021, but an Idaho man shot a moose. It was trying to attack him and his dogs. He tried hiding from it. He tried, doing the right thing, not trying to shoot it right away. He had his .45 ACP on him, and he shot and killed it. It was at close range. It was trying to charge him down and beat him up, and he shot and killed it. That is one example where .45 was used. These were all taken from ammoland.com, and I do not know any extra information, so I'm just reading you what I see. 2 of the incidences involved grizzly bears, 2 involved brown bears, and 3 involved black bears. First one happened in Alaska, Skiliak Lake, Kenai Peninsula. This was taken from More Alaskan Bear Tales, page 241, and this was a brown bear. It says, between bear raids, both men yelled and frantically sought the pistol, having forgotten the shotgun. Finally, Maurice found the pistol, pulled it from its holster, and emptied the gun into the charging Hulk. The bear altered its course, and Maurice scrambled for a tree. He begged Jack to do likewise, but Jack refused to do so until he got his hands on the scattergun. Moments later, Maurice felt the barrel of the shotgun and discovered Jack was on his way up the foot-thick cottonwood. And thinking of Alaska and Maurice, I'm thinking of northern exposure. I just saw that for the first time a little while ago, and it was something else. But anyway, it was apparently successful. It says that all of these were successful, so I assume there's a lot more to these stories than what they share. Anyway, second case happened August 22nd, 2009. This was Montana. It says grizzly shot with 9 rounds of a .45 from Glock 21. This is probably the most detail-filled ones here. It says Roy was on the edge of his property tending his fence line when out of the brush she was coming straight at him with her ears back. Roy drew and put 3 rounds of 230 grain, be somewhat like this, 230 grain full metal jacket in her neck shoulder area, then took off away from the trail about 5 yards. Roy said the bear was still coming at him, and he fired 3 more rounds into her frontal area, and again took off another 5 yards in another direction. The sow continued to follow, coming at him. Roy followed 3 more rounds into her frontal area and she dropped, taking a dirt nap. Roy called to report the incident, and they came out and brought a metal detector to locate spent extracted shell casings. Roy was found acting within his right to protect himself against a grizzly bear attack, but they said they wished he would have used some counter-assault bear spray. Roy did not have any, so they gave him a can, plus some 12-gauge cracker shells and some other 12-gauge shells with rubber bullets in them. Roy came into town and purchased a Glock 20 10mm auto now. I carry UDAP bear spray. We get it at Costco. You get 2 cans for just under $40, and they work pretty well, I think. I have never had to deploy it, so take that with a grain of salt, but I have carried it for years now. And it's always been nice to have that, especially if I run across a sow with cubs, and she isn't super aggressive, but she's starting to kind of make me worried. I can deploy that if I need to get her to leave me alone if nothing else works. Whatever it might be, I can deploy it, and I can keep the animal safe, and I can keep me safe. However, in this case, it would not have worked because if you look at the case, it says he shot at her, and she kept coming at him. If anything was going to scare a bear off like that, it's going to be getting shot, or shot at. Whether they get hit or not doesn't matter. It's a loud firearm, and it's a loud noise, and they know what it means. In this case, she actually got hit 3 times. Now, could that have pissed her off and she wanted to kill him even more? Sure. But that's exactly what bear spray would do, too. It's going to hurt. So It was nice that they gave him some and some rubber bullets and things, but at the end of the day, that's not really going to do much, unless the animal really doesn't want to hurt you. Anyway, third case. May 28th, 2010, this was Alaska again. This was Denali National Park. It says backpacker stops grizzly attack with a .45 pistol. A grizzly bear that emerged from a thicket charged two backpackers in the backcountry of Denali National Park and Preserve and was shot and killed by one of the two who was carrying a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol, according to park officials. The killing Friday is believed to be the first instance of a hiker killing a grizzly in the park's wilderness. The killing occurred in the original Mount McKinley National Park portion of the Denali, which was expanded by 2/3 in 1980. Fourth case. July 2nd, 2010, Jacket Campground, and this was a black bear that was shot. It was reported by KTVN.com, I guess. That's what it says here. But anyway, officials say the camper woke up to hear the bear going through an ice chest. He confronted the animal, and it charged and scratched the man's face. The man shot the bear, but it got away. Wildlife rangers tracked the bear down and killed it late Friday. The man went out with a gun and tried to shoo the bear away, McIntyre said, and I'm assuming that's one of the officers. The bear charged the man, knocking him to the ground and scratching his face. The bear left with food, McIntyre said. The man tried to shoo it away again, but the bear charged and knocked him down again. McIntyre said the man then fired a shot from a .45 caliber pistol and the animal ran away. So that one's certainly interesting. Well, let's move on to the fifth case. It says July 7th, 2014. This was Alaska again. It says 45 versus 9-foot brown bear. A homeowner in Alaska used a .45 against a brown bear that was trying to get into his house on July 7th of 2014. He and his son were in the home. He had scared off the animal with some warning shots just 3 hours before. So 9-foot brown bear, that's a pretty big bear. I don't know exactly how much that guy would have weighed, but I doubt he was a featherweight. September 6th, 2015, this is the sixth case here. This was Colorado Winter Park. This was reported on by CBSLocal.com, and this was a black bear. It says, according to Mike Porras with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, the bear came into the family's campground while they were present and went after some food that was out. An armed adult attempted to scare the bear by firing 2 shots, but the bear didn't show any fear and wouldn't leave. The camper then shot and killed the bear and immediately reported the shooting to wildlife officers. Colorado Parks and Wildlife has determined the shooting was justified, and no cases or citations will be brought against the camper. Seventh case here and final case. June 25th, 2019, this was Washington State, Petite Lake, used a Glock 21, and this was a black bear. It says, on June 25th, 2019, a black bear charged a man, chased his dog, then pursued him up a tree until he shot and killed it with a pistol. The attack occurred in Ponderay County, Washington State, near Petite Lake. The defender fired a shot in an attempt to scare the bear away, but that did not work. So we use the standard bone barrier jugs test, and what this is it's trying to simulate. If you're looking at a grizzly head-on, you have hide and bone, and you have a lot of mass behind that. Or if you're looking at a moose and you're looking at the thick shoulder blade, if you hit that, you have a lot of meat and bone that you have to get through. Right? You can also be hitting ribs. That's what we're really testing here. It's about 48 inches of material that you're trying to shoot through. At the very front of the test, we have 1 1/4-inch thick piece of masonite with a piece of faux wool on the front. That's to simulate the hide. We have 1 jug of water at front. Then we have 2 3/4-inch thick pieces of plywood. That's to simulate the bone. And then we have 6 water jugs going down the length. And then we have 3/4-inch thick piece of plywood at the very back, just to kind of stop the bullet, just in case it goes through all that. We started out, the very first 45 load that we tested out, that was a hardcast. It was this guy right here. This was a 255 grain plus P Keith style hardcast here from DoubleTap. And I've heard a lot of good things about DoubleTap, and they are indeed true, at least to a degree. I love this ammo. So anyway, the first shot here for the DoubleTap, again, went through all of the water jugs, went all the way through. The second shot stopped in the 6th jug, then veered into the left row. The third shot veered in the left row, then back into the center row. Like I said, it can do that sometimes. And then it stopped in the 6th water jug. Then the second test we did was where we just line up a whole bunch of water jugs, single file. And what we're doing here is we're just saying how far a hard cast will penetrate compared to a hollow point. Hollow points will penetrate anywhere from 2 water jugs to maybe up to 4 water jugs. The round penetrated 9 jugs of water as compared to 2 or 3 or maybe 4. 9 jugs of water before veering out the left side. So that means there's still enough energy in that bullet to keep going. It's just for whatever reason it started to veer off a little. We got 3 bullets from the first 3 tests plus 1 shot that was edited out of the video. Didn't really work out, but we did catch a bullet. All of them retained their shape and had no deformation. It's what you really want. So the bullets, they came out to 253.3 grains, 254.2 grains, 253.7 grains, and 253.3 grains, which came out to an average of 253.62 grains. The chronograph results, let's go on to that. 914 feet per second, 897 feet per second, 904 feet per second, and 914 feet per second, which came out to an average of 907.25 feet per second. That comes out to an average of 463.43 foot-pounds of force per shot. Now, one thing to remember, the foot-pounds of force the round hits with is very important, but it's like horsepower. Think of the difference between an F-150 and a Ferrari. Right? The Ferrari is going to have more horsepower, I guarantee you. But does that mean it's better at towing things? No. It's really the torque that you want to look at. Although horsepower does come into the equation, just like the foot-pounds of force around hits with, it is not everything, right? So we're really looking at the Taylor KO as the ultimate measure of how well a bullet will perform. Because for me, the Taylor KO is a wonderful way of measuring how a bullet performs. You take the bullet diameter, bullet weight, and the speed, and you basically get a number that will tell you how well the round will perform. A shotgun slug will get about a Taylor KO of about 50, maybe 53, I think. So that's pretty good. The Taylor KO for this round is 14. Now that may not sound like a lot, and in reality, compared to some handgun cartridges, it really isn't. However, a 9mm gets a KO of about 7. So this is double that of a 9mm. So that's something to think about. So now we're going to move on to my favorite round that we've tested out. It's the Buffalo Bore 255 grain plus P outdoorsman load. So Buffalo Bore is well known for making a really high quality round. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's raining. Anyway, let's see here. So again, we used the standard Bones Barrier jugs test, and the first shot went through 6 jugs of water, stopped after hitting the backboard. It had good inline penetration. The second shot went through 5 jugs of water, then stopped in the 6th jug. The third shot went through 4 jugs of water, then slid past the 5th and 6th jugs and stopped after hitting the backboard. The second test was much like the last one where we used a whole bunch of water jugs in a row. So the first shot with that test penetrated 7 jugs of water before veering out the left side, and the second shot penetrated 6 jugs of water before veering out the left side. So that's pretty good. I like that. So the bullets weighed, we didn't get as many as the last one. We got 2 bullets. They came out to 231.1 grains and 231.4 grains, which came out to an average of 231.25 grains. The chronograph results came at 962 feet per second, 957 feet per second, 957 feet per second again, 953 feet per second, 963 feet per second, 958 feet per second, and 959 feet per second, which came out to an average of 958.666 feet per second. So that came out to an average of 520 foot-pounds of force, a good bit higher than the DoubleTap, and a Taylor KO of 15. This is the best one I've tested out so far, and it's honestly one of the most impressive rounds I've tested out so far overall. It might not be the hardest hitting, might not be the most amazing, round to look at number-wise, but overall, the penetration, the power, everything about this just really resonated with me. Anyway, let's go on to the most recent video I've made, besides this one. And we're talking about the Federal Solid Core 240 grain plus P Syntech ammo. Same Bone Barrier jugs test. First shot penetrated 6 jugs of water. The round had good inline penetration. The second round also penetrated 6 jugs of water. but did veer into the right side. Third shot penetrated 6 jugs of water, 3 jugs in a row, then veered right, and then it landed on the left side of the table, which is a little strange. Then we're going on to the variation 2 of the bone barrier jugs test. This is a recent addition. What it is instead of the 2 3/4 inch thick pieces of plywood, I'm using 1 1/2 inch thick, very sturdy cutting board. First shot with this test penetrated 7 jugs of water and then the backboard. The 5th shot penetrated 5 jugs of water, then veered into the right side before stopping in the 6th jug. And the next shot penetrated 5 jugs of water. So the bullets we weighed came in at 239.6 grains, 239.8 grains, 240.5 grains, 240.1 grains, and then 240.1 grains again, which came out to an average of 240.2 grains. The bullets themselves start out at 240 grains. That's pretty funny. Then the chronograph results came in at 907 feet per second, 868 feet per second, 870 feet per second, 870 feet per second again, 878 feet per second, and 909 feet per second, which came out to an average of 883.66 feet per second. That came out to an average of 416 foot-pounds of force and a Taylor KO of 13. So then the next round we're going to talk about here for just a moment is the Federal American Eagle 230 grain full metal jacket or ball ammo rounds. Now these are meant for training. The hardcasts are meant to be able to be used against dangerous game, but this is meant to be used on the range. We have 2 rounds here that we're going to be discussing that are full metal jacket rounds. This one is the better of the 2 performance-wise. But overall, for training, this is what you want to use because you don't want to blow through all your hardcasts. These are more costly. These are going to have more recoil. You want to get used to shooting your firearm with the full metal jacket rounds that are cheaper and easier to shoot. And once you get comfortable with these, shoot a few rounds of these and just get comfortable with it. But you need to practice with your firearm with the cheaper stuff rather than the expensive stuff. And yes, everything is expensive nowadays. Tell me about it. Anyway, the first shot here, again, we're using the standard bone barrier jugs test. First shot veered into the left row, then stopped in the 6th jug. The second shot had good inline penetration and again stopped in the 6th water jug. Now we tested this at the same time as we tested the DoubleTap in the same video, and you can definitely tell the DoubleTap hit harder. But anyway, we got 2 bullets, both retained their shape and had no deformation. The bullets weight came in at 231.1 grains and 231.4 grains, which came out to an average of 231.25 grains. And the chronograph results, these came in at 846 feet per second, 860 feet per second, 844 feet per second, 811 feet per second, and 842 feet per second, which came out to an average of 840.6 feet per second. That came out to an average of 362.75 foot-pounds of force per shot and a Taylor KO of 12. So not quite as good as the other rounds, but overall did pretty good. If this is all you have, it should work. But this round, I would say anything 500 pounds or less. Once you go over that, I'm not going to be terribly comfortable with this. And I know you're thinking, well, why? The penetration was similar. At the end of the day, let me get the actual results here back up so I can look at it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so this round, again, 362.75 foot-pounds of force. Buffalo Boar had 520. 362 to 520. That's a big difference. So again, horsepower does come into the equation. With a Taylor KO of 15 for the Buffalo Boar compared to a Taylor KO of 12, there is a difference. And although I do like the American Eagle here, I'm going to stick to using it as a training round rather than a load I'm actually going to carry whenever I go out into the woods. I'm just going to set that aside for right now. So let's go to my main thoughts. 45 I think would be best carried in a Glock 21. 1911s are wonderful, like I said, but the problem with it is they're very heavy. And you're going to find that it's just a little bit more nerve-wracking to carry it locked and loaded. You're going to want the hammer to not be cocked while you're carrying it. And that means that you're going to have to actually cock the hammer before you shoot. It's not comfortable to do like it is on a revolver. I would say that if I'm going to get a 45 and carry it, I would carry a Glock 21. You might need to mess with the springs a little bit, kind of make it a little bit easier to shoot. I can't say much because YouTube doesn't like that idea, even though it's perfectly legal. I don't get it. But doubtless, you know what to do. You can look up videos that are demonetized if you want to look up how you can optimize your firearm. But at the end of the day, 45 will work. I would have no problem taking it out in Texas if I'm going hog hunting. Actually, 45 would probably be perfect as a sidearm for that. It's a heavy caliber. It's going to hit hard. It's going to have good penetration. Overall, I'm pretty comfortable with it. So, end thought is that this will work just fine, especially the Buffalo Bore, but the DoubleTap and even the Federal will work pretty well overall. And if you're going to go to Alaska, make sure you practice with your firearm well. But at the end of the day, I think it should do all right. I do want to make one announcement, and that is that I now have a second YouTube channel. And that is because I've had a lot of people actually ask me about my thoughts on Bigfoot. I'm not kidding. I've had a lot of people ask me about it here on YouTube. A lot of people want to know, Jep, what do you think about this? Jep, what do you think about that? I've had conversations with people on the topic here. And I've always been interested in it as well. So whether or not you are, that's fine. Even if you don't believe in anything about Bigfoot, you think it's all a hoax, it's still fun to talk about, really. So whether or not you believe in Bigfoot, that's fine. But I do have another YouTube channel called Idaho Bigfoot. I will have a link at the end of the video in the description. If you could go check it out, if you're interested in something like that, please do. I plan on doing more content there because it's a lot easier to do. I do a lot of voiceovers more than this, where I have to get everything ready. The weather has to be nice, But I'm certainly not stopping with Jeff's Outdoor Adventures. But I do want to let you know that if that's something you're interested in, feel free to check it out. And I also am now on Podbean. It's a podcasting service, so I'm just posting basically my videos, the audio files on there as well. I may do special content there, I don't know, but I do know that I'm also on Instagram as Jeff's Outdoor Adventures and Idaho Bigfoot, and I really enjoy it. So if that's something you might be interested in, please feel free to check it out. If not, that's perfectly fine. I know plenty of people who aren't. That's more than fine, really. It's just a very fun topic to talk about, and it's one I like talking about. So if that's something you'd like, please feel free to check it out. But at the end of the day, if you could please like this video, that would be wonderful. Please feel free to share it with anyone who you think would like it by clicking the share button down below and copying the link. And please feel free to click that subscribe button, that bell icon, so you'll be notified every time I come out with a new outdoor themed video. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Again, please feel free to share your thoughts on using the 45 in the comment section below. I really do look forward to hearing it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.